President Trump has sought to downplay the significance of Iran's ballistic missile attack on 2 U.S. bases in neighboring Iraq. The president tweeted that all was well and that the damage was being assessed. There have been no reports of casualties. President Trump said that there would be a White House statement later today. To help us unpack what's happened overnight and perhaps what happens next, we're now joined on the line from Tehran by the Executive Director of the Afro-Middle East Center, Naeem Jeenah. Naeem, thanks very much indeed for joining us. And being in Tehran, perhaps you can give us a sense of the mood on the ground there.
Well, let me say that the mood until last night here was one of great amount of mourning. I mean, I'm sure that we've all seen the television footage of the funeral of Qasem Soleimani. Literally, in Tehran, a couple million people on the streets, tightly packed in order to commemorate his passing. But not only in Tehran, in various cities across the country, even in cities where his body was not going to. He clearly was not just a popular leader in Iran, but very well loved. That mood, to some extent, kind of changed this morning a bit. And that is, it changed into a kind of mood of celebration with the attack last night on the base in Iraq. There's a sense among many Iranians who are not only mourning but angry at the assassination of Soleimani that there's been a reciprocal action, that if you like, revenge has been taken, or that this is at least the first stage of that.
All right, there is a speculation about this attack that it was carefully thought through, that it was unlikely to have casualties, but would send out a statement to attack U.S. sites. The President Trump had said before that his red line was any American people, but also U.S. sites, and this is one of them. I suppose he's going to have to consider what he had said, what he had promised, and also that there have been no casualties. What does he do next?
Well, one thing is, technically, the Ain al-Assad base that was struck is not an American base. It's an Iraqi base where American soldiers have been located. So he could use that, I suppose, to say that no American installations have been attacked. Certainly no Americans were killed. I mean, no one was killed. As you say, I mean, the target clearly was very, very well chosen. It was selected in a way that will ensure that it would give a strong kind of signal, but it wouldn't cause any casualties, so that it wouldn't invite further attacks from the United States. I don't think that at this stage Iran was able to afford, either militarily or economically, a full-scale attack by the United States. So the attack last night, the statement both from the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and the Foreign Ministry is that this is it. We've done what we needed to do, and as long as the Americans don't retaliate, we now regard this as over. Trump's choice is whether to retaliate or not, and I don't think that he will. I think that there's sufficient excuse given to him not to do anything, and so this episode right now will pass in a sense. Seemingly with both sides coming out as winners, but that doesn't mean that from the Iranian side it's over. Soleimani was a very senior leader, of course, military commander, but also leader. I mean, in a sense, if we talk about proportionality, which is what the Iranians are claiming this was. Proportionality would be assassinating someone like Mike Pence or Pompeo. That would be the equivalent of Soleimani that was killed. So they were happy to leave it where it was, but I don't think that this is the end of the story in terms of how the Iranians are going to react, not necessarily just militarily, but in other ways, diplomatically, etc.
All right. Tehran must be under a lot of pressure at home to be seen to be standing up to the aggressor, which is America, according to them.
There was lots of pressure. Last night's attack, I think, sent a signal to the Iranians that the government is serious about what it wants to do, and that pressure has kind of eased. So as I say, there were kind of scenes of celebration early this morning as a result, and I think that people have accepted that this is it.
All right, so even if there is a de-escalation and a diplomatic solution is found, it is quite clear that this has been a game changer and that nothing will be the same again. And how does one revisit issues such as the nuclear deal of 2015 and sanctions against Iran?
Well, to the first part of what you said, look, I think this certainly is a game changer. I mean, in a sense, the assassination of someone as senior as that of a government, we're not talking about a non-state actor, is a kind of red line, and people in the region are seeing it as that. Not only the Iranians, but also the Iraqis, others. Are seeing it as the Americans having crossed the red line. So even if the response to that particular assassination is as low scale as it was this morning, in a sense, it has changed how people understand the game. In terms of the issue of sanctions, and that I don't think that's something that's going to be dealt with immediately. The Iranians are certainly pushing in various different ways, and they're going to be trying other kind of diplomatic means. Whether they will use the assassination as a kind of bargaining chip in order to do that remains to be seen. But as it stands at the moment, there's no sense that there'll be a let-up of that. And Iran and Iranians are suffering quite considerably. I mean, the sanctions right now are the worst they've ever been, very biting, and they've been under sanctions for 40 years, of course.
All right. Naeem Jeenah, we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks very much indeed. That's Naeem Jeenah, Executive Director at the Afro-Middle East Center, speaking to us from Tehran.